All of my fantasy drafts are now in the books, including my main league, and that's the one I want to talk about today. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on how I did in our draft. I'm going to unveil my team to you, and I want to see what you guys think. Where can my team go? What should I have done differently? Who are potential trade targets? Who should I pick up on the waiver wire? I want to hear it all from you guys today, so be sure to use that comment section and tell me what you think of my team. And if you have any other fantasy questions or comments, as always, put them in the comment section. I will answer them on the next video. And of course, be sure to like this video, share this video on social media, and subscribe to this channel. I did start moving the questions to the end of the show a week or so ago, but just for today, I want to move them back to the beginning because there's a couple good ones that I want to get into. I'm going to try to see if I can bring these up. The first one that I want to get into is actually about our draft. It was on the post-draft show, I believe, because I talked to you guys about how I thought, anyways, that the person who had the first overall pick, he ended up taking Patrick Mahomes. You saw the overreaction video and stuff. You know, I was a bit disappointed because I love Patrick Mahomes, but I knew I wasn't going to be able to get him. So I'm like, okay, maybe I should try to just get a really good running back, and I'll wait on the quarterbacks, and, you know, maybe I'll try that strategy. Well, I thought that I may have baited him into the number one overall pick, but he actually found the video, and he did come to defend himself, and I'm going to give him props for that. So Jacob Hollins, who is in our fantasy league, he was the one who had the number one overall pick. He said, I didn't leave for the Cardinals, but I like the logo, and you didn't bait me into taking Mahomes. I was going to take him from the start. So that was the other thing in the video. I talked about, you know, I was a little bit worried because on his logo for his team, he has an Arizona Cardinal. The Arizona Cardinals team logo. So that kind of, it just surprised me. I apologize, Jacob, for saying that you may be just a fair weather fan. I didn't necessarily think that was the case, but I just don't usually see a person have a logo of another team that's not their team, so that just entered my head. I was just throwing that out there, so I'll end the rumor now, because then I see Khalifa King, who's one of the other Patriots fans we have here, I'm like, I can't believe he really left us to go like the Cardinals and stuff, you know. Okay, I'll end it there. He did not leave for the Cardinals. That was my bad. I just was something that I saw. I thought it was, it kind of made me scratch my head for a minute and think, did he change teams or something? You know, he didn't. Okay, we'll end it there. He did not change teams. He is still a New England Patriots fan. And I did not bait him into taking Patrick Mahomes. He was going to take him from the start, and I do believe that. But we had some fun with it anyways. We made a good video out of it. So apologies for the misunderstanding about the team, Jacob. Thank you for commenting on the video. I hope you'll comment in the future. It's always good to hear from you. We also have a couple of comments from the previous video. Khalifa King, he says the Bills are 8-8. They're going to take a loss to New England. That was pretty much the gist of his comment. He could see them missing the playoffs. I'm a little bit higher on the Bills. I know that they have a tough schedule, but that defense is legit. They have pieces on all three phases of the defense. Tre'Davious White's one of the best young corners in the game. Tremaine Edmonds is a budding star at linebacker, and Ed Oliver, if he can stay out of trouble off the field, he could potentially be the next Aaron Donald. So I really like where the Buffalo Bills are headed as a franchise, as a team. They have a really good coaching staff, decent general manager as well. So I'm excited to see where they go. I think they're a 10-6, 11-5 team. It would not surprise me if they could even make an AFC championship appearance. Because the AFC is a little bit weaker this year. You have Baltimore and Kansas City. Then you have Pittsburgh. Outside of that, you really don't have anybody. Yeah, I mean, Buffalo. And then whoever wins the AFC South, some people think Tennessee or Houston could. I have Indianapolis win that division. But I don't think anyone from that division is a real threat in the playoffs. But you never know. But he also says Griffin going to Dallas, that makes that defensive line godly. And I will say that defensive line's good. Don Terry Poe was an excellent signing. Added more pieces through the draft. Already had DeMarcus Lawrence. Their defensive line is stacked this year. However, their secondary is not. They lost Byron Jones. They still have Chidobe Awuzie and Jordan Lewis at corner. But they still don't have a legit number one. And they still lack some depth at safety. So we'll see what happens with Dallas. He also says, you're a Steelers fan. You think they lose the week 1 to the New York Giants? I do, and I've said that before. It's all going to come down to preparation. This is such an odd offseason to begin with. And Joe Judge, coming from New England, of course, he's a special teams coordinator with the Patriots. New England prides themselves on preparation, preparing one game at a time. And one of the flaws that Mike Tomlin has had since he's been the head coach of the Steelers isn't it, well, looking ahead is one of his problems, but, I mean, he's not going to look ahead necessarily ahead of this game, but when we've had extended time off or at the beginning of the year, we tend to start off slow. And I'm not saying maybe we won't lose. I get that the Giants aren't going to be having fans in the stands from what I've heard, but I'm just saying, I can see it happening. I'm not sure whether I'll predict it or not. Maybe I'll change by the time we get to September 14th or whatever day that game is. We'll see what happens, but I would not be surprised at all if the Giants pulled that off. Steelers generally play down to lesser opponents, and it's week 1. The Steelers have a lot of new pieces. Ben's coming back from injury. There's just a lot of unknowns, but we'll see. We also have Fantasy Spartan, who commented on the previous video as well. And he says that he pretty much was telling me I was asking for fantasy draft advice, of course, before our draft. He said take a flyer on Henry Ruggs or Jalen Reagor. Feels like taking one rookie wide receiver is a good idea with all the depth in this rookie class. And most years I would agree with that assessment. I like taking rookies. You will see that I actually did take a rookie wide receiver, not either of those two, simply because I felt they were just a bit of a stretch. But I do like the advice about taking a rookie wide receiver because you do have a lot of upside, and this was an excellent rookie class. But I'm starting to hear some shout-outs to Bryan Edwards, who's also a rookie for the Las Vegas Raiders. Henry Ruggs, of course, he's coming off that hamstring injury. Bryan Edwards, he has some injury problems himself, but he seems to be getting a lot of love in Las Vegas. Fancy Headliner has been talking him up. And Jalen Reagor, maybe later in the year, but I just wasn't a fan of him coming out of TCU. He was kind of on my potential bust list coming out into the NFL draft this year. But you never know. Those guys both have a whole lot of upside. Both of them are speedsters. So we'll see what happens. But keep those questions coming. Put them in the comment section. I will answer them on the next video. But it's time to get into my fantasy team. So if you have not watched the pre-draft show, the post-draft show, the overreactions, I encourage you to go back and look at that. That kind of breaks down the biggest moments that we had in the draft. But today I want to focus mostly on my team. Like I said, we already talked about the number 1 overall pick. Jacob took Patrick Mahomes, which I wanted him, but I knew I wasn't going to be able to get him. And when I was talking about baiting him, it was actually like I put a message on the league page, and when I sent out like my messages to remind the league about, the draft and stuff, just putting these things, not saying I was going to draft Mahomes, but just saying, looking forward to getting Mahomes, or, we all know who Andrew's going to be taking with his first pick and stuff, just to kind of play with that. Now, apparently it didn't actually work like I thought it did, so I got to take a loss on that one, but I knew I wasn't going to get him because everyone wants to get those quarterbacks early on. So I knew I couldn't. But seeing that I had the 3rd pick, I'd much rather have Saquon Barkley than Alvin Kamara, who's probably a better option in PPR formats. Of course, our league's a non-PPR. But for the most part, it was a really exciting draft. It was a whole lot of fun. Was able to go over, and the three of us that live around here, still we were able to meet to do the draft. So we had a really good time, and I hope the rest of everyone else in the league did as well. But I want to start getting into my roster. So I'm going to go round by round. I'm going to try to pull this up. I'm going to get a graphic up there of a screenshot of my team. I'm going to break it down. I'll show you my starters right here. And overall, I really like how my team finished out. Again, this was 18 non-PPR. We have 2 flex spots. One's a wide receiver running back flex. The other one's a receiver running back tight end flex. We added 1 extra flex this year, partly just because we only have 8 people this year. Hopefully we can move it back up to 10 this year, but Just weren't able to find a whole lot of people this year to do it. Didn't hear back from several people, so we just kind of had an odd year. Everything's been odd this year, so hopefully next year we can jump back up to 10 teams. But of course, Saquon Barkley, he was my first round pick. And I was, of course, thrilled that he fell to me. Joe Mixon in the second round. I was a little bit slow to start off on Joe Mixon at the beginning of this year because I've had him the last 2 years, and he's disappointed me both years. But the offensive line is going to be better this year. Jonah Williams, first-round pick back in 2019, will be back. They also added a couple other pieces. Rookie Hakeem Adini has high upside at either tackle or guard. So I believe the offensive line will be much improved this year. Having Joe Burrow at quarterback instead of Andy Dalton and a healthy group of wide receivers could mean more open running lanes. I also hear that they want to get Joe Mixon more involved in the passing game, which would be huge. That could be the deal breaker. But again, since it's non-PPR, I decided to go running back heavy early on, and I took Clyde Edwards-Helaire with my third pick. There were no receivers there that I was dying to get, and I was praying that DJ Moore would fall to me in the fourth round. He did. So I'm really excited about that DJ Moore pick because I've talked about him before. Look at, of course, Joe Brady and Matt Rule coming in, both college. We saw what Matt Rule did at Baylor with Denzel Mims, second round pick. And we saw what Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator, did at LSU this past year. Not only with Joe Burrow, I know he was the passing game coordinator, but he did a lot with those receivers as well. Jamar Chase, I know he has a lot of talent and stuff, but he did not look good year one. He really emerged last year. I believe Joe Brady had a lot to do with that. And Justin Jefferson was just a mediocre receiver that was going to be taken, probably in the middle rounds of the draft. He ended up being a first-round draft pick. And a lot of that is because of the impact that Joe Brady made on that offense. Plus, Teddy Bridgewater throws a lot of underneath passes. DJ Moore, that's where he succeeds. I believe Joe Brady will, plus the scheme that they're putting in place with Teddy Bridgewater as the quarterback, will really help DJ Moore. He's going to get a bunch of targets. It'll be really good in PPR formats, but even in non-PPR, I really like him. I didn't want to take a wide receiver super high because I believe there's a lot of boomer bust candidates out there. Julio Jones, Mike Evans, maybe even Chris Godwin as well. We've talked about all of those guys before. But then I went and got Adam Thielen in the fifth round. Now, this one, a lot of people, think, well, Thielen, he has limited upside. And maybe he does, but with Stephon Diggs gone, I feel more comfortable taking him now, even if he gets more of the... Maybe even if he gets more attention from opposing defenses. I just like him simply because his target share is going to be gigantic. I know they want to run the ball, but before last year, he's never had really any injury problems, and Kirk Cousins has shown a really good rapport with him ever since he's gotten to Minnesota. So I like that pick. DJ Moore and Adam Thielen, I believe, can hold the fort down, especially if either Deontay Johnson, DK Metcalf, or one of my other receivers bail me out with a breakout season. I came back in the sixth with Jonathan Taylor. If I had this pick back, I probably would have taken Le'Veon Bell. And I was seriously tempted to as well. And I'm going to throw out this trade for you guys, and I want to see what you guys think. Should I propose this trade? Because I believe I can get it accepted by someone else in the league, and I think this is a decent trade, but it really puts me thin at the quarterback position. Now, I believe Ben Roethlisberger, if he's half of what people are pumping him up to be this year and stuff, I mean, he looks really good right now. With his arm, it looks healthy. He says he's thrown in without pain for the first time in a long time. But should I do this trade? I have DJ Shark and I have Deandre Swift. Should I trade those two plus Ben Roethlisberger? So it's Ben Roethlisberger, Deandre Swift, and Terry McLaurin for Le'Veon Bell not Terry McLaurin, DJ Shark, DeAndre Swift, and Ben Roethlisberger for Terry McLaurin and Le'Veon Bell. You guys tell me what you think in the comment section. Now, the thing is, Bell is so boomer bust. Pretty much what it's coming down to is, do you think I can make it with Baker Mayfield as my only quarterback that I have right now? I can always pick up a free agent like Drew Lock or Daniel Jones or someone. Do you think those could hold down the fort if I traded Roethlisberger? Or are you more confident in my running backs now that you're seeing my team that you don't think I need to necessarily trade for Bell? Bell has a little bit higher bust potential just because the Jets are always going to be playing from behind. They're not going to be able to run the ball as much as they may want to. That said, they have a better offensive line this year, and they want to put Bell into a better position to succeed. I'm a bit torn on this trade because I have 3 rookie running backs, and I said coming into the draft I did not want to take a bunch of rookies. But I wasn't thinking. I'd already taken Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and then Deandre Swift fell to me. I needed another running back. But the question I'm really asking is, do you think I'm okay with 3 rookie running backs, Edwards-Helaire, Taylor, and Swift, despite the shortened offseason and having kind of a difficult year probably for rookies? Do you think I'm still in a good position with 3 rookie running backs? Or should I try to get Le'Veon Bell in the trade that I just proposed and put out there for you guys? But that puts me thin at the quarterback position. But I want to get your guys' thought. Let's move back to my team. DJ Shark I took him after DK Metcalf. I went after Jonathan Taylor. I went Metcalf and Shark back to back. Both of them, I know Shark's a little bit touchdown dependent. I didn't really plan on taking him, but he fell to me. And DK Metcalf, of course, he's the athletic freak that I believe can break out. He had 900 receiving yards last year. I believe he'll crack 1,000 this year. He seems to have shown a good rapport with Russell Wilson. And I'm going to try to move this down to my bench so you can see some of my bench spots as well. Of course, you saw my starting lineup. I have Ben Roethlisberger right now. I waited until the 15th and 16th rounds to get my quarterbacks because, of course, they all went off. Mahomes went off the board, and I just decided to wait on quarterback. But I got the Steelers defense in the 9th round. I didn't feel that was terrible value. I didn't really want to go 7th or 8th, but 9th I was a little bit more comfortable. I have a really good defense. Matt Gay is my kicker. I got him at the end of the draft in the last round, so I was okay with that. I think with the offense that Tampa Bay has this year, I believe they'll be in scoring position a lot, so that probably means a lot of kicking, so it could mean a lot of field goals for Matt Gay. I also waited on tight end, as you can see. I waited to get Mike Gesicki, I believe, as the 11th round, and I joked about this on the fantasy post-draft show. I did not mean to draft Mike Gesicki. I didn't even know I was on the clock. I wasn't paying close enough attention. I was looking at the board, but for some reason I missed the fact that I was on the clock. Half my time was up. Plus, sometimes my computer and stuff, it just doesn't click on as quick as I need to. So, sometimes when it says I have 10 seconds left, the clock's already up. So I had to hurry and make a pick. So I chose Mike Gesicki, and I think Gesicki could have a really good year. But I also have another Miami Dolphin, Jordan Howard, on the team. I don't like having multiple people from the same offense. But I believe Gesicki does have some high upside. You guys can tell me what you think. Is my tight end position okay? I just have Mike Gesicki and Jonnu Smith, but I think Smith could be a top 10 fantasy tight end. He and Ryan Tannehill showed a good rapport last year. I really like I really like his upside if Tannehill stays healthy. But again, I want your guys' opinion on all this. After the Steelers defense, I took Deandre Swift. Before I took Gesicki, I got Swift in the 10th round. Again, rookie running back, but I felt it was good value. And then I got Deontay Johnson, who I do believe I've come around on. I wasn't high on him when he was drafted. I wasn't high on him at the beginning of this fantasy draft process. But I've warmed up on him enough, and I believe that he can have a breakout season. Enough people have kind of got into my head that he has enough upside for me to take him there. So I got him in the 12th round, around the 95th pick, so I felt that was decent value. Jerry Jeudy I followed that up with. Again, a big unknown, but Jerry Jeudy is my number 1 wide receiver in this draft. I believe he was by far the best route runner in this class, and I just really like this upside. I believe he is a wide receiver 1. Not in fantasy football this year, but just in actual NFL. I believe in a couple years we will see him as a wide receiver 1 for the Denver Broncos. I followed that up with Jordan Howard, and this is what calms me a little bit. I know I have Mike Gesicki, so another Dolphin, and I know I have 3 rookie running backs. Those were the 2 flaws with my draft, and I'll be open about that. I've missed on those things. I wish I had those things back, but Jordan Howard is that safe option at running back that makes me a little bit more comfortable if I am stuck with 3 rookie running backs, because Howard's going to be consistent. He's going to grind. He's going to get me goal line carries, hopefully. And if he can stay healthy, hopefully they can get him involved in the passing game a little bit more. But the Dolphins, I'm not sold on their offense a whole lot because I believe they're going to medically redshirt Tua this year. It'd probably best if they did to make sure that he heals completely. But I do believe that Jordan Howard was a safe option. He'll probably outplay his ADP. Probably worth, 6th, 7th round range. I got him in 13th round? So 14th round, actually. So I was thrilled with getting that. I think he'll outplay where I drafted him. Not necessarily going to be excellent, but I believe good enough. And then, of course, I followed that up with my 2 quarterbacks, Roethlisberger and Mayfield. You guys can tell me if that is good enough. I feel fairly confident in that. Other than that, both of them do have some inconsistencies in terms of fantasy numbers, so I don't really know who to trust week by week. I'm going to have to play the matchup a lot. You guys can, again, tell me what you guys think. And then, of course, I finished it out with Jonnu Smith and Matt Gay. Now, NFL.com predicted me, I think, to finish in 7th place. They gave me a C for my draft, and then predicted me to go... It was either 5-9 or 3-11. I don't remember what it was, but they don't think I'm going to do very well. They thought I reached for a lot of players. But you guys can tell me what you think. I think on paper my team looks good. I have a strong group of running backs, assuming that at least 1 or 2 of my rookies can emerge. My receivers, I believe I have a lot of depth, so I'm excited about that. The 2 questions are, was I a little bit too bold by waiting at quarterback and tight end? I think my quarterback will be good enough just because of the upside that Ben and Baker both bring. Try saying that 5 times fast. Ben and Baker both bring. And then Jonnu Smith and Mike Gesicki. I've loved Jonnu Smith throughout this entire draft process. And I believe he can be a top 10 tight end. But you guys, again, tell me what you think. That's all for today. Be sure to put any other fantasy questions or comments you have in the comment section. I will answer them on the next video. I'm looking forward to it. We're going to start breaking down my latest fantasy football rankings on the next video, and I will let you know, with school coming up, I'm going to be slowing down a little bit on the videos. I hope to get out at least 1 a week, but I'm not going to probably be able to do quite as many as I've been doing right now. But I hope you all will still stay tuned and check out videos when I do have them. Be sure to like this video, share this video on social media, and subscribe to this channel. I'm looking for those subscribers. So thank you all for supporting the channel by doing that. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.